Thank you for joining us today. I hope you are in good mood. And before we get started our discussion on significant and most voted topic, I'd like to remind you, all sessions will be recorded and posted afterwards. Feel free to ask questions via our chat and vote for the question you are interested in. The most active participant will get a prize, and the most liked questions will be answered in our Q&A session. So I'm ready to get flow to our amazing speaker from Mexico, Alberto. So please welcome.
Thank you, Maria. I would like to start with a story. When I remember the first time I had to elaborate a product roadmap. I was working for a bank, more specifically for the consumer products. We were asked to design and implement new insurance quotation system for a car and mortgage policy issuance. After reviewing existing processes, systems, and after a few weeks of discovery, we decided that we were ready to create a product roadmap. This was the first thing that I was trying to do for a project in terms of deliverables. So what do you think was my first brilliant idea that crossed to my mind in order to elaborate a product roadmap? Yeah, of course. I need to ask for a template. And that's a very practice that it's very common across product managers and business analysts and project managers. So guess what? That's what I did. And as a result, after completing a good number of iterations, we look back at the product roadmap and then we realize that we have implemented nothing similar of what we have planned. And maybe you are thinking, yeah, I have been there before. And yeah, that's something that happens very frequently. And the thing is that we do this over and over and over, and we don't fix this issue. We keep doing it wrong. That's why I just now want to show you 5 types of product roadmaps. Here you have. Are you saying what? They are looking the same, right? Yeah, most of the time roadmaps look the same, and they don't communicate what value they are providing. I have seen this dozens of times, and they are looking like this. Always features here, features there, timelines, themes, streamlines to separate products or streamlines. So I'm going to tell you the tools that you need to shine bright when you do a product roadmap. How never create the same failed product roadmap again. Hey, my name is Alberto Saldana. I am a business analyst manager at Tipan Systems. I have been working with product and development for more than 14 years, primarily helping customers with their digital transformation. I own a certification in analysis and design and as a Safe Scrum Master. I also have background presenting interesting topics on meetups and trainings about how to engage customers, drive discovery meetings, and how to create amazing deliverables. I started with product roadmaps a few years ago, and believe me, it wasn't clear at the beginning how the product roadmap looks and how the product roadmap plays an important role in the initial stage of the projects. It's like when you walk into a room full of people with different needs, different priorities, different expectations, and here is where product managers jump into this mess and try to save the day. All right, now that you know me, I would like to draw your attention and ask you to go to menti.com and enter this code. So please go ahead and open your smartphone or your web page and go to menti.com and please enter this code 129755. I will give you some around 60 seconds to join, and please answer the first question. Thank you very much for those who are already answering the question. So this is basically what is your current role? And the idea here is to understand what is the audience we have right now. Is it product managers, product owners, business analysts, or project managers? Or maybe you are attending as a different role, and I would appreciate if you put or you select the other option. So far, we have a lot of business analysts, few product managers, and yeah, a good number of project managers. So let's give one more minute in order to allow other colleagues to answer this question, and we can figure it out what is our current audience today, so we can have a better approach when I provide my speech. So far, 135 of those participating. Okay, let's move forward. I will keep this question open. So if you are joining just now, please go to menti.com and enter the code 129755. And please answer what is your current role. So I will move forward with the presentation, and let's see later on what is the final result of this poll. So probably you have already worked with product roadmaps as product manager, project manager, or business analyst, and you have found that not all the projects needed a product roadmap. Or maybe they needed a product roadmap, but simply nobody was able to provide one. Or even worse, someone made it for you, or maybe you made it, but it didn't add any specific value to the customer vision. So during the next hour, I will talk about some inputs I have gathered from my own experience and some others I found from a specialist in the topic, best practices and recommendations on how you will convert good product roadmaps into great product roadmaps. So the first question is, why do we need a product roadmap? The product roadmap is the only document that can outline to see the product from its current state to its desired state. So if you have a map, a normal map, and you want to go to a different location, so you have the location A and you want to go to location B, where the location B is your final state or your desired state. So if what you're doing today might change tomorrow, then you need a product roadmap. There are still projects that lack of product roadmap, and I can recollect the famous quote from Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. The lack of product roadmap will make your stakeholders take decisions in multiple conflicting directions, and no one will have clarity on the overall direction of the product. It will definitely hurt the confidence and motivation of all the stakeholders. The biggest downside of this is that the impact will not be felt immediately, but in the long run, the impact will be irreversible. The vision defines the role that your product will play in the future. So to find the purpose, you need to ask these questions. What is the core belief of the organization? What is the reason behind the creation of new products? What is the future that the organization intends to create? Then we have, inside the product vision, we have the product objectives. The product objectives are moving targets that change accordingly to the organization goals. You can call them OKRs, which means objectives and key results, which is what you're trying to achieve with the product. Product objectives should relate to the product strategy. They should also be easy to understand, actionable, achievable, and measurable. Aligning goals with product vision is just the first step. As a product manager, you must also align and roll product goals up to the overall business goals. This demonstrates how the product delivery will enhance success of the business. And then the next step is obtaining the product strategy. And this is the path to accomplish product objectives within the limits of product purpose. We need to think what problems we are solving. One example about a quotation system. So the first problem we found out when we were building a quotation system for car insurance was that the customers were not buying car insurance. And after a few meetings, we realized that the problem was that the quotations took a lot of time to get the final price for the customers. So it was demotivating for them. They feel like they were not getting what they expected. And at the end, they just not purchasing car insurance. So many data to fill in a form to see what price I need to pay for a car insurance. So many requisites. You need to upload your ID. You need to provide your billing address. You need to provide a bank statement in order just to get a price. So that was not a good business process. So as a solution, we create a quotation system that gives the insurance cost with just providing car model, phone number, and your email address. So just 3 inputs. So, and then what happens after the end consumer enters these inputs and get the price, then the business receives the information and a specialist calls the consumer to complete the sale. But then what? I not only want to get the price as a consumer, but also I want to be able to purchase the policy, to see my monthly statements, to add more coverages to the policy, to cancel the policy. And more and more and more features were added to the project. So what problem was being solved? We initially started with the problem that it was taking too much time to get a quotation, but we ended up with the full end-to-end solution. So the real problem was that the original business process were not aligned with the product vision. So the business processes were a blocker in order to implement a new product that facilitate the purchasing of a new car insurance. And here is when we started creating a product strategy to tackle a complete digital transformation of existing products. Now, the product roadmap shows the tactical steps to execute the product strategy. Each release should accomplish at least one goal. With the product roadmap, the organization gets more collaboration and communication, and these are the key elements to any product. The product roadmap serves several purposes for various stakeholders. For example, the customers. The product roadmap makes them feel confidence that the product is actively evolving. The customer can plan the business depending on the overall direction of the product. And sharing the product roadmap with the customers regularly eliminates the conflicts or ambiguity between what customer expects and what they will get. For the sales teams, which is, of course, always the companies, it's always about the money. The product roadmap can be used to sell the vision of the future to customers. The product roadmap leverages the advantage to close deals. So if you are a salesperson and you showcase a very good product roadmap, then you are providing so this is what we're going to deliver to you. So this is what the end solution will look like. So if you do this right, then you will get more customers buying your product. Also, we have as stakeholders, the business development managers. They can look forward expanding their business into new territories or markets, depending how the product is evolving in the future. Probably you have seen some products that are intended to be in a specific market, let's say North American market or Asian market. And then if it is a success, then it will be replicated in different markets or different areas. So this is where the development managers are coming into play by looking forward for the product roadmap. So they can have a clear vision and a clear picture of what is going to happen in the future. And of course, we will have the executive team. This will help the executive team to work as a communication tool to elaborate about the work done by various teams and how they contribute to complete product objectives. At the end, this executive team just will come, and when there is a trouble, they will jump in and say, "Wait, what's going on?" But at the end of the day, if you have a good product roadmap that communicates effectively what you're trying to do and what is your vision and the strategy, then the executive team will not come very often because they will have confidence that you are doing the right job. And also for the engineering team, it helps to realign and reprioritize the resource allocation and also create a sense of excitement about the overall direction of the product. And the last but not least, for the product managers, the product roadmap helps them to focus on the product vision, the product objective, and the product strategy, and also to align the vision with the strategy. And this enables product managers to have frequent communication with mentioned stakeholders and take decisions on the product strategy. Now, I would like to give some examples and explain why product roadmaps fail. So if you're asking, so in which cases or scenarios the roadmap failed because of something, so the product roadmaps fail too often because they're not properly created. That's the first thing. To be effective, the product roadmap should communicate the product strategy and vision, should help the product owner to get the stakeholders' approval to proceed with the development, should ensure all the teams are involved, should serve as a guide for product managers, developers, main stakeholders to ensure that they are still on track. So the first thing is, what is not a product roadmap? The product roadmap is not a committed plan. Product managers cannot be too strict to not make any changes, even if the situation demands, but also cannot be too flexible to make frequent changes. Product managers should know how to balance between them. Roadmap is not carved on rocks. Product manager should anticipate and adapt to the change. This is not an artifact prepared in haste and not in reactive mode. And not every product is the same. Every company has different principles and different vision. We cannot use the same template over and over for every product roadmap. I have seen product managers asking for product roadmap templates and just switch themes, features, timelines. And that's the first mistake. First, we need to analyze what's the product strategy, and then we start making the roadmap. We need to ensure that the roadmap reflects the belief of the organization. How frequent can product roadmap change, you might be asking? So let's put this straight. Product roadmap evolves as the product vision and strategy evolves too. We need to bear in mind that priorities may change, the strategy may change. So several examples of priorities and strategy changes are coming up these days. So because of the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic, product managers could have some strategy to build, for example, a very robust and sophisticated POS system for stores. However, during these days, nobody goes to stores. So what is the change of the strategy? So they now need to enhance the online customer experience to engage more customers in the short term, provide some coupons, provide some advertising, marketing campaigns, and provide a better user experience. So because if not, they're not going to go to the stores and they're not going to do any purchase. So what are the most common fails while doing the product roadmap? So the first one is that we believe that the product roadmap is just a list of features. We make the assumption that it's just a list of functionalities that is going to be implemented. So the product roadmap is a strategic tool. It's a document designed to very clearly and very quickly communicate a product owner's overall strategic vision and plan for the product development. That means that your product roadmap should include only high-level information, themes, epics, goals, possibly some features, and possibly some timeframes, but not a long list of features. So we're not putting just the whole product backlog into one slide. So the fails comes when it is not serving as a communication tool. When people in the team does not look frequently at the product roadmap, they lose focus on, and it's very hard to have visibility of priorities. You can enter a list of features, for example, for the car insurance example. If the product roadmap transmits the value of doing all these features, then you have a failed intent to provide a comprehensive product roadmap. The document stays untouched for long periods of time. So that means that if the product roadmap, we believe that it's a living document and it's strategic, then it should evolve over the time. That's natural. The product roadmap will become obsolete if you think that the product roadmap hasn't changed because the strategy is the same and you are doing and the priorities haven't changed, and you think that the product roadmap is staying the same because of that, then you are doing it wrong because the product has already changed, but your product roadmap is not useful anymore. So here is one advice for free, and I'm going to tell you. If you use, for example, tools like PowerPoint for roadmaps or Excel file or Excel spreadsheet for creating roadmaps, then that's a 100% fail, because using those tools, it's very difficult to keep updating. So you need to do a lot of effort, like changing boxes and put lines and put information in those tools. So it's very hard to maintain. So I suggest you to use better tools to change the roadmap faster and with less effort. What is the problem of not using collaboration tools? So very often we used to send documents through email or save it in a shared folders with different names. And you can recall it like product roadmap version 1, and then product roadmap version 2, and then product roadmap final version, and then product roadmap final version already reviewed, and then product roadmap version final version 2. So we have a lot of versions, and it is very difficult to see which is the actual or the most updated product roadmap. So avoid doing that. Instead of that, use a collaboration tool in a specific space where everybody can see the latest version. In my experience as a Scrum Master, there are times when we want to keep the old school practices to use post-its on a wall. And that's fine. That's fine for startups, and that's fine for engaging the team and collaborate if the team is in the same location, in the same area on the office. But the problem is that if you believe that the post-its on the wall will evolve over the time, then you are doing it completely wrong. So we have collaboration tools. We have a very powerful tools right now that we can use it in order to create great product roadmaps. And also another fail, it's an alert, of course. It's that we confuse the product roadmap with the project plan. So this is another bad practice. I have seen that we put so many information in the product roadmap. We put resource allocation, we put the budget, we put the features, sub-features, additional features. We assign owners, we assign dependencies, we create swim lanes, then we remove swim lanes, and then we are ending with a mess. So we're losing focus on strategy and putting more attention on implementation details. So another problem is that we create product roadmaps that are unrealistic. Let's get this real. Timelines only look good. In practice, they're a terrible way to do a roadmap. A timeline encourages to focus less on why you are doing things and more on how fast you are doing them. And this is a very bad practice of pre-sales teams. They're focusing on, oh, the customer wants to finalize this in 2 months. All right, but what we are delivering, right? So let's focus less on timelines and focus more on what value we're delivering to the customer. And of course, what the product roadmap is meant to communicate. A good product roadmap helps you to focus on the strategy rather than execution, adding a whole other level of transparency to your organization. As a product manager, you get so much pressure from the business. You are asked to deliver the product in a certain time frame, and you don't have sufficient resources, so you don't know what to do. So you know there are dependencies, and you still want to make sure that the customer is happy, so you create an unrealistic product roadmap. So if you follow all these practices that I mentioned, I guarantee you that you will have 100% failure probabilities. Now, you need to also have in mind some alerts that give you the idea that you are doing something wrong with the product backlog. The first is focus on revenues. The revenues are never the criteria for prioritizing features. You need to focus to identify the right customer value. As a product manager, you should not assume that features add a specific value to customers. So pulling the team back and forth between focus on this, focus on that, it's not a good practice, and that's an alert. If you have the team just going here, going there, and change this and change that, then you need to review and have a retrospection of what you are doing wrong. And this is what is a benefit and what is something good from the product roadmaps, that you can, every release or every iteration, you can go back and review it and probably make changes based on what you are thinking the strategy has changed. Also, the customers are just like not feeling like they're getting what they expect from your product. And this is a very common. So when you are in the second or third iteration and the customer says, I don't know what you're doing. I don't see where the product is going forward to the future. Then you have an alert. You have a red flag that something is not good with your product roadmap. So you need to review it again. Or literally, there is no vision of the product. Nobody knows what the team is doing. Or maybe you have like something to develop or implement in 2 years, but you don't have nothing concrete today. So you are keeping doing features and features and features every iteration that doesn't add any value. And the customer is asking, okay, yeah, you put a search engine, you put a login, you put it, but where is my product, right? So I don't see. And you say, no, well, the product is going to be delivered in 2 years or 6 months in the long term. So that is not good. So make sure that you understand these red flags, and then you go back and review your product roadmap. I want to show you a few examples of product roadmaps. There are different ways to do product roadmaps, and that's fine. There is not a specific template, as I mentioned. So you can change it, you can use different formats, you can change colors and so on. So the first example is the multiple product roadmap. So as you can see in the image, you have different products to be developed at the same time. So every product has different priorities, but these priorities can overlap with other products. So how do you solve this problem in a product roadmap? So of course you can add dependencies, and here is where the powerful tools come into play. So in the new tools to create product roadmaps, you can add dependencies, like when you are on the on the yellow box, you can add a dependency on the right panel with the second theme or feature, and then you start creating dependencies, and you can move the boxes through the timeline. So this is it is a very good practice in order to avoid conflicting and avoid creating ambiguous set of expectations in a product roadmap. So what happens, for example, when you have a dependency between product 1 and product 2, and you cannot start the second feature of the product 2 unless you finalize the one in the product 1. So here is where the product roadmap comes. So you cannot put it overlapping these features, right? So you need to set a time frame to complete the task 1, and then you need to set a time frame to complete the feature 2. So here is how you can have a visualization of dependencies in this type of product roadmaps. Then you have the features-based roadmap. So this looks pretty much as a backlog. It is not, but you have, for example, quarter 1 features, quarter 2 features, quarter 3 features, or maybe by streams, right? Like mobile implementation features, and then desktop implementation features, APIs creation features, and marketing and branding stream features. So this is how you can have a visualization of what the product is going to look like over the time. And then we have the strategy-based roadmap. And this is one of my favorites product roadmap because it clearly showcases how the strategy of the product is going to be implemented over the time. So you have first the content streamline, and then you have digital marketing, for example, then branding, and then events, and so on. So you can put here not at feature level, but at theme level or business goal level. This is where the strategy comes. Forget about the features in this product roadmap and start creating some goals for your product. So after you implement a set of features, then you will be completing a goal. And completing goals, then it's a good sign that your product roadmap is working. Now, the expert's recommendation in how to create product roadmaps in terms of what tools to use. The most recommended are the online tools, for example, Monday.com, AHA, Product Board, and Jira. And of course, the less recommended is PowerPoint and Excel. If you don't have access to those tools because your organization is not willing to pay the license or is not providing you with the right tools, the sophisticated tools to do that, then you can do it in Excel and in PowerPoint. But believe me, it will be very hard to maintain and very hard to focus on updating the product roadmap because it is just very manual process. So don't do that. I don't. This is 100% failure. So if you have to do it, then do it. But you have to tell the customer or the hopper manager that you need a powerful tool to create a product roadmap. I would like to draw your attention and let's stop for a moment and pay attention to this slide. For those who are attending all the sessions of the BA and Product Management Z-Days, you might be interested on writing down this secret word on the screen. And remember to get all the secret puzzle words and send the phrase to the organization team. So I will give you a couple of seconds to write down this word because it will help you to get fabulous prizes if you complete the full phrase, if you attend all the sessions. So please write it down, and if you are ready, then let's continue. Now, most of the time, people think that when there is a frustrated customer, it's because of the product is not good at all. And if the customer is not feeling engaged, it's because the product is not good. I'm going to tell you 3 areas that are required to create a great product roadmap. These 3 areas, you need to focus on create an incredible product roadmap that you have never been considered. If you understand these 3 areas and you do this right, you can have a backlog of features that will really enhance your product. First, you need to make everybody understand that they are working and what they are working towards. As Dan Martell mentions on his page, danmartell.com, he says that it will be like a factory of just development and deployment, and it will make your customer very happy every time if you deliver a piece of the product. So the first area that you need to keep in mind is the needs. It's the first thing product managers do not pay attention. They just ignore it when building a product roadmap. The needs are exactly what customers expect and what they express. When you're building a solution, the customers come with an expectation. They are going to express those needs, and you need to be able to capture that information to put it on a list of potential opportunities to improve. Great product roadmaps are not only based on group prioritization, but also their ability to gather exhaustive customer needs. Also, you are required to know about the industry trends, what is the company trying to achieve. You need to understand your customer needs, what they're trying to say, what they want. The competition, of course, for example, what is the competition doing right now that you are not doing it? And of course, the new technology trends. What are the technology advantages in order to create a digital transformation for your product? There are 2 ways to gather needs. The first is understanding the needs, which are the needs recognized by customers. The second is discovering the needs, which are the needs not realized by customers. It happens too often that what the customers want and what they really need is completely different. And the first step to understand what the customer needs is to have active listening to understand what customers say and what customer thinks during the conversation. Use the power of why. Ask many questions as needed to understand the root cause of the problem we're solving. Change the what to the why. Understand why customer needs something. There's one very easy example. It's Imagine that someone comes to you and say, hey, I want a pizza. Yeah, why do you want a pizza? Because I'm hungry. Okay, so you don't want a pizza, so you want something to eat because you're hungry. Instead of that, I will give you a sandwich. It's very easy to prepare. It's the cost is less, and it will satisfy your hungry. But don't think that you need a pizza because you're hungry. So this is a very rough example of what the customer wants is not what the customer need. There is a very common question that the people ask: how to know what customer wants if they don't even know what they want? And here's the answer: knowing your customer, anticipate what they might require in the short and the long term. Yeah, you have to be like a wizard, but you need to tell them what they need before they realize it themselves. Then we need to focus on the market needs, identify trends altering customer behaviors. One example nowadays is the Zoom application. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, not all of us knew about this Zoom application until we needed to communicate with relative or for online classes for kids. They made it super easy to use for older people, for young people, but at the same time with a bunch of features and capabilities for different purposes like school, business, entertainment. So why the people is Zooming instead of Skyping? We have some insights. Zoom is much easier to use. And I am not talking about you or me. I refer to non-technical people. Just send them the link and that's it. Just join a conversation with your most loved ones or for business purposes or for school classes. So the best thing is that you don't need to add random people to your list of friends in order to join a conversation. So if you think about it, what was the product strategy of Zoom? Then you realize that probably you need to focus differently when you're creating a product roadmap. The second area I need you to focus. Remember, the first one is needs. Second one is business goals. For example, profitability. That is a business goal. You may have a goal to grow the business, to expand to new markets, or to increase the sales. Maybe provide better customer experience to become a product profitable, or maybe to add new technology. Understand real goals so you can guide your product strategy to deliver on those outcomes. So again, let's put the Zoom example. What do you think that they were the business objectives when they were building this app? So the first thing was to something that should be easy to set up and maintain, easy to use, and of course, make it modern app that allows 100 participants to join in a meeting. And also to have only one platform for meetings, phone calls, webinars, chat. And of course, use the app on desktop, mobile, without affecting the performance. So these are business objectives. No. So the third thing I want you to focus when you're creating a product roadmap, it's to focus on key features in your product. If you have a competition out there and you want to create a unique features for your product, you need to make the customer engage and provide you the details of those features and then convert them into business objectives. But at the end, you need to know what features differentiate your product. What features make your product unique? And for example, again, with the Zoom example, so we have a set of features: unified login, scheduling meetings, starting meetings, multiple content, and so on. So you might think, okay, so we have this in so many applications. We have this in Teams, we have this in Skype, but the business goals that we presented before are different, okay? So that's why the features for Zoom are very different than the features for any other application, even if they look the same. Now, okay, so how you will achieve these three areas? So of course, if you think these three areas to build a world-class product roadmap, you need to understand the needs, the goals, and the key features. Then you need to step ahead in order to build a great product roadmap. So then you have the product meetings. The product meetings, I will separate it in two sections, in two steps. The first one is ideation, and the second one is prioritization. So in the first part of the strategy meetings, you want to spend hours on ideations, incorporate These three main inputs, the needs, business goals, and key features, and then start gathering ideas. The second part is prioritization. Group the ideas. Prioritize based on needs. That's how you start the product roadmap with the right foot. Create a product roadmap that is compelling, that allows you to achieve the organization goals. Now, wait a minute. Don't confuse the ideation with the brainstorming. So in the brainstorming, you meet with the participants either physically or virtually and shoot out ideas. However, those ideas are hardly reviewed in depth. You have a bunch of post-its on the wall, but nothing concrete. In the ideation, you have to group those ideas and convert it into initial features. You need to create a story map or mind map, and then enable the group to discuss in depth those ideas. And then you have the prioritization. So there are a bunch of prioritization techniques, but my preferred one is the 2x2 quadrant, which is value versus effort, which is based on the Eisenhower matrix. So in the vertical axis, you have the value delivered, and in the horizontal axis is the effort required. So in the upper left quadrant, you have the features that deliver high value and requires less effort. You have to do that first. That's your big rock. In the upper right quadrant, you have the features that deliver high value but requires high effort, and those are your medium rocks. So those go next. And then in the lower left quadrant, you have the features that deliver less value but requires low effort. So that can be included as additional features. But in the lower right quadrant, you have features that neither deliver low value and also require high effort. So forget about them. They should never be implemented. You may think that you have different prioritization techniques. There are Moscow technique, there are scorecard techniques, Kano model, $100 method. So either method, it's okay, but this is my preferred one. And if you have another preferred one, you can put it on the comments on this talk about questions and answers, so we can talk more on the questions and answers section. Now, you need to focus on the big rocks. If you want to see the prioritization from another perspective, take a look at the image. If you're trying to put first the sand into a jar and then put the big rocks, then there's not going to fit. So what you have to do is to put the big rocks first, which is your highest priority, and then you have to put the medium rocks, and at the end you have to put the sand, which is the lower priority features. So in that order, you will have a jar full of big rocks as first priority, and then you will have smaller rocks and then sand. So this is how you look forward and focus on the outcome instead of the output. So that's very important to differentiate that the outcome are your business goal, your strategy, and the output is just the features or stories that you are going to implement. Now, how to do a proper product roadmap presentation. First, you need to find your source of inspiration. When you're presenting the product roadmap to your stakeholders, you need to know how you come to the idea of the product roadmap that you built. So how was the struggling to get the product strategy? How was the product vision gathering? So how was the business meetings? How was the strategy meeting? How do you prioritize it? You have to communicate all the effort required to build this product roadmap that you're presenting. So your audience will understand how difficult and what is the value of the product roadmap. If you just come into a room and just present the product roadmap and this is what it is, so the audience will not understand what is the value of the document. So you need to show the vision and strategy and objectives. So you have to showcase clearly what you're trying to intend with this product. You need to be creative. That means that, yeah, you need to use colors, you need to use different templates, and of course you need to make it more fun to read and more attractive for the audience. Now, you also need to be empathic. So you need to know your audience, and you need to understand who is in front of you. You need to make independent sessions for different stakeholders. So you need to put in their shoes and explain what they are trying to get, what is the expectation they're going to obtain from the product roadmap. And of course, keep the conversation. So you need to have a frequent conversation with your audience in order to make changes to the product roadmap and updates to the strategy. Lastly, here are some takeaways to govern your roadmaps. First, you need to make a goal-oriented product roadmap that facilitates the focus on the goals you want to achieve instead of just features to be done. Show priorities that the stakeholders should see easily what needs to be done. Now, in few weeks and few months, what is being represented quarterly? Now, don't commit to timelines. Priorities might change, market trends might change, technologies change. So the product roadmap it's how you are planning to deliver the product, but not which exact dates. Learn to say no. Avoid overloading your product roadmap. And also share your roadmap in a collaboration space, so everyone in your business can see the strategy and priorities. All the ideas are welcome, of course, but don't lose the vision and strategy. Focus on the initiative and iterate. Of course, you have to review your roadmap regularly with your stakeholders. It can be every release, it can be every iteration, it can be when the product strategy changes, but you need to do it. So even if your strategy changes and you don't go back to your product roadmap to make updates, then you are doing it wrong, and you are 100% sure that you're going to fail. Make sure that your roadmap is balanced with long-term projects or product and small wins. So as a stakeholder, I would like to see, so what is the final product vision? So what is the final result? But at the same time, I would like to see what are the objectives that we're going to achieve over the time. So make sure that you have a balance between those. And that's it, folks. I wanted to thank you so much for your time. If you stay up to this moment of the talk, I hope you have seen something interesting today. And now it's time for some questions. Let's find out who are the most voted questions. And remember, if you are watching this video on YouTube, please subscribe to the Community Z channel and also like this video if you like it. Thank you very much. Maria, I pass the word to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alberto. Thank you for an extremely fantastic presentation. So many insights. We have a lot of questions in our chat, and let's move on to most popular, most liked. Actually, we have two questions related to tools and prioritization. And actually, you have covered it, but relevant to prioritization, the question is, what metrics do you use to prioritize items in the roadmap? No technology, no tools, maybe, but metrics.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of metrics, it's, for example, the velocity or when we can get this goal achieved. So, for example, if we have one goal that is going to be achieved in 2 or 3 months, then again, it will require effort, and it will go to the second section of the prioritization. So, what other metrics? So, for example, what is the vision of that goal, right? So, for example, we need to tackle a very urgent feature because, for example, in the example of the stores and the POS applications and the online customer experience for online stores. So nobody was able to predict that this was going to happen nowadays. So the priority changes. You need to move faster in order to implement things that you would not plan. So that's another another light that you need to keep in mind when you are trying to prioritize the goals that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, actually, we need to know our opportunities and importance of this as well. Yeah, and actually a tricky question, but related to your experience, what are the most common mistakes when you build product roadmap? Maybe guys want to know your mistakes.
Yeah, of course. And I can recall several times when I was trying to do, or someone on my team is trying to do a product roadmap for a RFP, for a request for proposal. And they ask this product roadmap in a hurry. Hey, I need this product roadmap in for tomorrow because we need to present it to the customer. Yeah, give me a template. I will put just a list of features and I will put just timelines. And the pre-sales team says, no, just reduce the timeline because we're not going to sell something that's going to be developed in 6 months. So then you commit to timeframes that are unrealistic. So from my perspective, the most common failure is doing the product roadmaps in a rush. So doing it too fast without analyzing all the aspects and components is the most common failure. Yeah.
Yeah, and the next one also related to your experience. Did you use Jira instead of tools that you have
Yes,
provided?
of course. Jira is a very powerful tool to create product roadmaps, and we use it very often in the products at EPAM, in the projects at EPAM because we have the tool. Unfortunately, not all the organizations pay for the license of Atlassian Jira, so that is a caveat that organizations need to tackle with some other options, with cheaper options that are online. But yeah, Jira is one of the most powerful tools. But it's not the most preferred one because it's not so cheap and is not used, for example, with small companies or for startups. So this is not very recommended. So instead of that, use some free tools online or use cheap tools that you can pay subscription affordable for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, so actually, by the way, I have some question related to this. And which are the steps of the structured approach for building roadmaps with complex interaction between different sub-projects? So imagine you have a product with splitting up into 4 sub-projects. To finish a feature, to have to finish a first project, then second, and then you will be able to start third and fourth. So what exactly, how to, maybe you have some tricks and tips to
Yeah.
yeah.
In those cases, yeah, you can use the multiple product roadmap. So that means that you outline products in a streamline, right? Product one, product two, product three. Then you will have your business goals, right? And if one business goal has dependency on a business goal in another product, then you need to make a link, right? You need to outline a dependency. So in that case, so even if the if both has the highest priority, so you cannot start both at the same time. Probably you can start researching, investigating how to implement it. Probably start with the look and feel or the UXD designs, but you will not be able to implement it because you depend on an API or an integration or something like that. So make sure that your dependencies are well defined on your product roadmap. And in that case, then you need to avoid overlapping those business goals. Like you cannot do feature one with feature two if they have a dependency. You need to put it like, I want to do this first and then this next.
Yeah, actually, yeah, when we have in save some project or something like that. And the next one, how to get the product metrics if you work as an outsource BA and no one from the client side shares metrics and product success criteria with you, as they only want stories written by your sub. So they want stories but not share.
Yeah, and here comes the magic of the business analyst. So again, you need to be a wizard, right? So certain times the business will not share information with you because you are a vendor or you are a third party. So you need to figure out how to find this information, investigate in the market trends, investigate on the most common practices, and also you need to be very specific when you are in the meetings. Try to ask those questions without letting them know that what you're asking is what they don't want to share with you. For example, so when you ask what are your main pain points, right, and why you are trying to achieve this, so they will not share the metrics or they will not share numbers, but they will share what is the problem they're trying to solve, right? And that's the only thing you need. When you understand what you are trying to solve, then you need to start asking whys. Why we need to do this? Why we need to do that? Right? So, and then you can compile your own set of metrics that you see, okay, so this is not going well because of this is not going well because of that. And From there, then you need to start creating your business goals along with the product manager.
Yeah. So actually, we have a lot of questions, and it's not finished yet. So, does it make sense to you to make a product roadmap for a project that have been going already for a particular time?
Okay, so the 45 minutes of my talk is giving you the answer. So the answer is yes, of course you need to do it. So even if the project has started and you don't have a product roadmap, and then you come into the project and say, where is the product roadmap? We don't have one. Okay, hold on. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so let's step for a moment and then think about what is the product vision, because then again, you will end up with a product that doesn't provide any value or doesn't have any vision. And at the end, you will have no objectives, you will have no strategy, and then you will keep doing the things wrong. So if you are in that situation, I will highly recommend you to do this right now and stop the process and revisit and create the product roadmap ASAP and create updating it when you have a product goals and product strategy changes.
Yes, especially that maybe highlight us what not to do as well. So if we have some good roadmap, yeah, and we can focus on exactly some significant things. So the next one, how to define the roadmap when customer keeps changing their mind on features and feature details. So it's again about agility. So.
Yeah, of course. People change their mind, right? Priorities change. So that is fine when you have a clear vision. If those changes are aligned with the vision and the strategy, then it's fine. So at the end of the day, you will have, okay, so your priority changed, but the vision is the same. But hold on, so the vision is changing. Okay, so then we need to revisit the whole product roadmap and see what we are doing wrong. Because if you are changing your mind and the vision is changing, and instead of having a product that would provide this value, you are trying to create a product that provides a different value, then you need to revisit your product roadmap and probably make updates. But you need to do it. I mean, don't hesitate to do it. Don't be too strict to say, no, you need to attach to the product vision we have at the beginning. No, it's flexible, so just do it.
Yeah, actually, guys, just do it. We are running out of the time. Thank you to all for the interesting question and fantastic session. Let's proceed our discussion via chat, via our Z-Days platform. I put into the chat link to this discussion. And so we exactly know super tips and how to avoid the failure. So see you soon.
See you soon, guys.
Thank you so much, Alberto.
Stay safe.